Hey guys, I have a book review for you today, and it's going to be Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn. And to start off, I'm just going to read like the back cover. I don't have a physical copy with me, so I'm on the internet. And if I struggle, it's just because I'm not very good at book reviews, and this is like the fifth time I've tried to make this video. So, let's begin. It's 5 years after Return of the Jedi. The Rebel Alliance has destroyed the Death Star, defeated Darth Vader and the Emperor, and driven the remnants of the Imperial Starfleet to the distant corner of the galaxy. Princess Leia and Han Solo are married and expecting Jedi twins, and Luke Skywalker has become the first in a long-awaited line of Jedi Knights. But thousands of light years away, the last of the Emperor's warlords has taken command of the shattered Imperial fleet, readied it for war, and pointed it at the fragile heart of the New Republic. For the Dark Warrior has made two vital discoveries that could destroy everything the courageous men and women of the Rebel Alliance fought so hard to build. The explosive confrontation that results in is a towering epic of action, invention, mystery, and spectacle on a galactic scale. In short, a story worthy of the Star Wars name. If you guys didn't know, this is the first real expanded universe novel. What I mean by that is it came out in 1991, and it basically started the big EU boom. For those of you that are just casual Star Wars fans and don't really know anything about the books, this is probably your best bet of where to start. Excuse me. My voice is like, my throat is dry. Anyways, if you want to know what happens to Han and Leia and Luke after the movies, this is where you could start. It's not, chronologically, it's not the first book to read, but it's the first published book that started the boom. The first published book actually being Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which came out in like 1978. But that's in alternate universe, and we're not really going there. So I just want to like have a little background information, and that would be when I picked up the book, why in the world it took me so long to read it, and then I'm going to just go through some pros and cons of what I like about the book and what I don't like about the book. I picked up the book like Christmas of 2011, I think. My dad bought me the comic book version, and I didn't want it, but I kept it. I was just like, well, why did you get me this? I asked for the novels. So I ended up buying all three books on eBay used. So, whew. And then I got another 3 books for Christmas, but that was a big lot, and that's beside the point. And I picked it up then, and it just didn't really appeal to me. The writing style was kind of eh, and I struggled. I got about 120 pages-ish in, and then I just stopped. Picked it up again around October last year, I think, maybe with the release of the new movies, or the announcement rather, and I didn't get past that hump again. That one spot that made me so mad that I just couldn't do it. So I got a bunch of books for Christmas, last Christmas, and so I was like, I should probably read them sometime. And my hair's like gross today, but it always looks gross or whatever. And I read other books. I'll do reviews on them soon. I read the first Han Solo trilogy book. I read the first Rogue Squadron book. I read the first New Jedi Order book. And I still hadn't finished Heir to the Empire. And I had read books by Zahn before Heir. I read Allegiance and Choices of One, which I loved. So I didn't know why I couldn't get into this book. I found out there was an amazing audiobook being read by Mark Thompson, I think is what his name is. And so I listened to it. I figured if I can't read the book myself, then let someone read it to me. And that was probably the decision I've ever made with Star Wars books, because I don't really like audiobooks. I don't really like ebooks either, but that's beside the point. I like reading the books myself. I don't like listening to them. But this audiobook, it's like listening to a radio show. And then I ended up or downloading a bunch of audiobooks on my iPod and just listening to them in my room while I'm like cleaning my room and packing and stuff like that. So I finished listening to it. Well, I didn't finish it. I stopped listening to it about 75% of the way through the novel, and I finally started reading it on this thing. Even though I have a hard copy, I don't even like ebooks, and I use this to read all the time. This is a Toshiba Thrive. I don't really make them anymore, but I could be wrong. It's awesome. It's like a tablet. It's a tablet. It's like an iPod or iPad, but not. So, yeah, the book. I don't know why it took me so long to read it, but it did, and I really kind of regret that I didn't get into this like 10 years ago when I was 9. Should have, but I didn't. So now I want to go into like the things that bothered me in the book. Things that bothered me were Zahn's overuse of point and touche, and then his overuse of the line "I'm not a committee" between Han and Leia. And I get ha 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 ha. That's a line from a movie, but it gets kind of old after like 3 times. And one thing that kind of bothered me was just like the Jedi twins. And I'll probably go into that in another video, but how in the world do they know they're going to be Jedi? How does anyone know they're going to be Jedi? They cannot be Jedi. I mean, they're going to be Force sensitive, that's for sure, but they're not necessarily going to be Jedi. Maybe they just mean Force sensitive. I don't know. That kind of bothered me. And then the pros are the rest of the book. One thing I really liked is the character Mara Jade, which I am a huge Mara Jade fan, and it took me a while to be like, why is she acting like that? But as soon as she and Luke met, it was like perfect characterization, and I loved every bit of it. And it was very fun to read. It was fun to listen to too. And if it was a full audio cast, it would have been awesome. But it wasn't. It was one guy doing the voice of all the characters. But Mara's just awesome. I really like all the characters that Zahn introduces into the Star Wars universe. That would be Thrawn, Pelion, Card, Mara. There's others. Oh, Sabath. I like him too. And this video is probably going to be way too long for YouTube, but one thing I really liked was Chewbacca taking Leia to Kashyyyk, or Kashyyyk, however you want to say it, Kashyyyk, and just Leia being with the Wookiees. And then I was reading Vector Prime at the same time I was reading Heir, and it just, if you know what happens in Vector Prime at the very middle end-ish, you should know why I was so emotionally upset when I was reading Leia and Chewie on Kashyyyk. It was just like, oh, my feelings, they hurt. So there were a lot of really excellent things in this novel. I would probably recommend it to anyone that's a casual Star Wars fan and wants to know what happened after the movies. It's kind of weird sometimes, because if you know anything about the expanded universe, and if you're a casual Star Wars fan, you probably don't, then you probably know it kind of gets better. In my opinion, at least, it seems like it gets better. I've heard mixed reviews about all the books. All the books after the New Jedi Order, I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard yays and nays and But this book is definitely, it's kind of like fan fiction. And fan fiction is a guilty pleasure of mine. So, I mean, I really like it. And I'm reading the second book, but I'm in college, so I'm reading the second book. I'm reading Kenobi. I'm reading freaking Moff Landers. I'm reading, I think we're starting Jonathan Swift for Friday. Just, I don't have time to read Star Wars, but I do. But I don't. But I do. And then probably as soon as I'm done making this video, I'm gonna probably go read over there to my bookshelf because I'm in my dorm room and it's really hot, guys. That's why I look like crap. So on a scale of like 1 star to 10 stars, this would probably get like an 8.5. Simply because I'm taking that 1.5 stars away because of how long it took me to read it. I guess that's my fault, but at the same time, if I didn't find it difficult to read, it's kind of his fault too. So yeah, that is my book review, and if you like Star Wars books and Star Wars comics, I would suggest you subscribe. You don't have to, though. And if you're watching through my Tumblr or you want to read like actual paragraph reviews, then my Tumblr will be in the description. And hopefully I will be doing a lot more book reviews and maybe not book haul videos, but I might have to go home and make videos about books, maybe. So, see you guys later. I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.